Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. I'm Henry.
I'm Sarah.
And for those of you just joining us for the first time, we're a tech couple. We've been building our own startup for,
Quite a while.
yeah, it took quite a while. And we've learned a ton along the way, so we're excited to share those insights with you.
Yeah, we've definitely made our fair share of mistakes,
By the way,
had some big wins, learned a ton,
we're
and
still learning every single day, that's for sure.
yeah.
And today, we're tackling a question that I think is on the mind of, well, pretty much every entrepreneur, especially when you're first starting out. What does it really take to build a successful business when you're starting from zero?
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. The idea of starting from scratch with no money, no connections, no fancy degrees, it can feel pretty overwhelming, right? Like, how do you even begin?
It's daunting, for sure.
Yeah.
You look at these massive companies, these huge success stories, and it's easy to think, well, I could never do that. I don't have what they have. But here's the thing. So many of the most successful companies in the world, they were built by founders who started with absolutely nothing. And that's what we're going to unpack today. We're diving into the stories of entrepreneurs who defied the odds and built empires from scratch. We're going to look at what they did, how they thought about problems, the decisions they made, almost like a masterclass in hustle, taught by the people who've actually lived it.
Yeah, we're not just gonna skim the surface here. We're gonna break down their journeys, the strategies they used, the mindsets that helped them succeed. Because ultimately, their stories are proof that you don't need a head start to build something incredible.
All right, so let's kick things off with a story that I think perfectly captures this whole idea of turning limitations into fuel for success. The story of Howard Schultz and Starbucks. Now, you probably know Starbucks is this global coffee
Yeah.
giant. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's like on every corner.
But go back a few decades. It was just this tiny company selling coffee beans and equipment. Like no fancy lattes, no frappuccinos, just dot beans.
Right. And the man behind Starbucks' transformation, Howard Schultz, he didn't exactly come from privilege. He grew up in a tough neighborhood in Brooklyn, faced some serious financial struggles. But even as a kid, he had this drive, this ambition to create a better life for himself.
Totally. And it was that ambition that helped him land a football scholarship to Northern Michigan University. Huge opportunity for a kid from his background.
Absolutely. I mean, that scholarship opened up a whole new world of possibilities for him. He wasn't even planning on playing football professionally, but it got him into college, and he ended up graduating with a degree in communications and eventually landed a job at this small company called, well, Starbucks.
And that's where things get interesting. At the time, Starbucks was just a small operation with a handful of stores in Seattle. But Schultz, he saw something more. He had been to Italy, and he was just blown away by the whole Italian coffeehouse culture. The way people gather in these cafes, not just for the coffee, but for the atmosphere,
Yeah.
the sense of community. It was an experience,
Yeah.
and it sparked an idea.
It was totally different from the way Americans were experiencing coffee at the time.
Totally. He realized that Starbucks could be so much more than just a place to buy beans. He had this vision of creating what he called a third place between home and work, where people could connect, relax, and, enjoy a really good cup of coffee. Like, he wanted to bring that Italian coffee house vibe to America.
But the thing is, the owners of Starbucks, they just weren't on board with his vision. They were pretty happy with their small operation and they didn't want to expand into espresso drinks and all that. They didn't see the need for it.
So, what did Schultz do? He took a huge leap of faith. He left Starbucks and started his own coffee company, Il Giornale, modeled it after those Italian coffee houses that had inspired him. Now think about this. He's leaving a steady job to chase this risky venture in an unproven market. That's gutsy.
Yeah, I mean, building a new business is never easy, and Schultz faced all the usual challenges, finding funding, building a brand, convincing people to try this new coffee experience. It was a lot of hustle.
But he was passionate. He poured everything he had into Il Giornale, focusing on quality, customer service, and creating that warm, inviting atmosphere he'd experienced in Italy. And his passion was contagious. People started taking notice. Il Giornale started gaining traction. And just a couple of years later, opportunity knocked.
The original owners of Starbucks decided to sell.
And Schultz, with the success of Il Giornale behind him, he was in a position to buy it. He saw it as his chance to finally realize his vision on a bigger scale. So in 1987, he acquired Starbucks, merged it with Il Giornale, and this is where his entrepreneurial genius really comes through. He didn't just bring back the Starbucks name. He brought back his vision for what Starbucks could be.
And it was more than just the coffee, right? It was about the experience. He focused on creating this warm, inviting atmosphere with friendly baristas, consistent quality. Everything was designed to make Starbucks feel like that third place, that place where you belonged.
And it worked. People fell in love with the Starbucks experience. It became this cultural phenomenon. And Schultz's vision, his willingness to take risks and bet on himself, well, it turned a tiny coffee bean company into the global giant we know today.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes those limitations, the things that hold you back, they can actually be the spark that ignites your entrepreneurial fire. He didn't let his background define him. He used it as fuel to create something truly extraordinary.
And it's not just about the financial success, it's about the impact, right? Starbucks created thousands of jobs, revitalized communities, and connected people in a way that no one could have predicted.
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about another founder whose story is all about turning adversity into triumph. Oprah Winfrey. Her journey is one of incredible resilience, determination, and the sheer power of believing in yourself even when the world tells you you can't.
Oprah's early life was, well, it was marked by poverty and hardship that most of us can't even imagine. Growing up in rural Mississippi, she faced incredible challenges: poverty, abuse, and constantly being told she was less than because of her race and her background.
It's hard to even fathom, like she was literally wearing potato sacks for clothes because her family couldn't afford anything else. And she was constantly being told she wasn't good enough, that she wouldn't amount to anything. But even in the face of all that, she had this inner strength, this unwavering belief that she was meant for something more.
And that belief is where her journey really starts. Despite the hardships, Oprah excelled in school. She earned a full scholarship to Tennessee State University, which opened up a whole world of opportunities that would have otherwise been closed to her.
And that's where she discovered her passion for communication. She landed a job at a local radio station while she was still in college, which, by the way, marked the beginning of her meteoric rise in the media world. She quickly transitioned to television, becoming Nashville's first Black female news anchor at just 19 years old.
Think about that for a second. A 19-year-old woman breaking barriers in a male-dominated industry during a time when racial prejudice was rampant. That's incredible courage and determination.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just that she was talented. She had this incredible ability to connect with people, to make them feel seen and heard. She brought empathy and authenticity to the screen, and audiences responded to that.
But Oprah's ambition, it went beyond just being a news anchor. She wanted to create content that truly resonated with her, that reflected her values and her vision. And in 1983, she got her chance. She moved to Chicago to host this struggling morning talk show called AM Chicago.
Now, this wasn't exactly a glamorous opportunity. The show was floundering in the ratings, and a lot of people doubted that she could turn it around. But Oprah saw it as a chance to really showcase her talents and connect with audiences on a deeper level.
And what she did with that show is amazing. Within months, AM Chicago was at the top of the ratings. It became the highest-rated talk show in Chicago. Oprah's ability to connect with guests and audiences on a personal level, her willingness to tackle tough topics, and her incredible storytelling, it turned the show into a phenomenon.
And in 1986, AM Chicago was renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show, which, as we all know, launched a media empire that spanned decades and touched the lives of millions around the world.
The Oprah Winfrey Show was more than just a talk show. It was a cultural force. Oprah used her platform to talk about important social issues, to encourage reading and education, to empower women, and to inspire people to live their best lives. And her success, it wasn't just about the ratings or the money, it was about the impact she had on people.
Right. Oprah's story teaches us that you don't have to be born into privilege to achieve extraordinary things. It's about having a vision, believing in yourself, and pushing through the challenges with grace and determination. And it really shows you the power of connecting with people on a personal level, building a brand that's more than just a product or a service, but it's an extension of you, your values, what you stand for.
Absolutely. It's about creating something that resonates with people on an emotional level, something they can believe in and feel connected to.
Exactly. And that brings us to another founder whose journey is all about building a brand that speaks directly to its audience. Damon John, the man behind FUBU.
FUBU, a true icon of 90s streetwear. For those who maybe aren't familiar with the brand or Damon's incredible story, let's rewind a bit.
Yeah, so Damon grew up in Hollis, Queens, a neighborhood that's like deeply rooted in hip-hop culture. And from a young age, he was just immersed in that world, the music, the fashion, that entrepreneurial spirit that was coming from the streets.
You could feel that energy.
Totally. And he had this knack for it, you know? Damon started sewing hats and t-shirts in his mother's basement, creating designs that reflected the style and attitude of his generation.
Yeah, he was tapping into something real, something authentic.
Absolutely. And he called his brand FUBU, which stood for us, by us, and it quickly became this symbol of pride and authenticity, especially for the hip-hop community.
It represented something bigger than just clothes.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Damon, he didn't have a lot of resources. He didn't have the money for big marketing campaigns or advertising, so he had to find a different way.
He had to get scrappy.
He did. He started leveraging the power of music videos, getting local rappers and hip-hop artists to wear his designs in their videos.
Smart move. Those videos were huge back then.
Oh yeah, they had a massive influence on youth culture, especially when it came to fashion. By getting his clothes featured in these videos, it was like free advertising to his target audience.
Going straight to the source.
Exactly. And it worked. Word of mouth started spreading. People wanted to wear what their favorite artists were wearing. FUBU was becoming more than just clothing. It was a movement, a symbol of street credibility and hip-hop culture.
It had that cool factor.
It did. But Damon knew that to take FUBU to the next level, he needed a bigger investment. And this is where he made a decision that was both incredibly risky, but also super inspiring. He mortgaged his mother's house to raise $100,000 to fund production.
Wow. Talk about pressure. Putting everything on the line, risking your family's home to chase your dream. That takes serious belief in yourself.
It does. That's the kind of commitment it takes.
Oh, did it pay off?
Oh, yeah, it did.
Right.
FUBU exploded in popularity, becoming one of the hottest streetwear brands of the 90s.
A true success story.
And you know, Damon's story, it shows that you don't need a fancy business degree or a trust fund to make it happen. You just need to understand your audience, have that hustle to make things happen, and be willing to take calculated risks.
All right, so let's move from the streets of New York to the world of tech. Our next founder's story takes us into the realm of innovation and the power of solving a problem that millions of people face. We're talking about Jan Koum, co-founder of WhatsApp.
Jan's journey is a testament to resilience, self-reliance, and this laser focus on building something that really meets people's needs. His story begins in Ukraine, where he grew up facing political and economic instability.
That had to be incredibly tough.
It was. Imagine this. Jan immigrated to the United States with his mother when he was only 16 years old, leaving behind everything familiar, arriving in a new country with very little, and a language barrier to overcome.
Starting from scratch in a whole new world.
Exactly. They settled in Mountain View, California, the heart of Silicon Valley, but life wasn't easy. They struggled financially, relied on food stamps to make ends meet. Jan even worked as a cleaner at a grocery store while he was going to high school, always looking for ways to improve their situation.
Working hard to make ends meet, but still driven to create a better life.
Yeah, and amidst all those struggles, Jan discovered a passion for technology. He was teaching himself computer programming by borrowing books from the library.
That's dedication.
It is, right. And this was before online courses and coding boot camps were a thing. So his drive to learn and his resourcefulness, it's incredible.
He's a self-starter.
Totally. And that self-taught expertise landed him a job at Yahoo, where he worked as an infrastructure engineer for almost a decade. He gained so much experience building scalable systems, which would become crucial later on.
It all came together.
It did. And then, in 2009, Apple launched the App Store, which opened up a whole new world for mobile applications. And Jan, he saw an opportunity to create something truly innovative. A messaging app that was simple, reliable, and focused on privacy.
Before messaging apps were everywhere. Right?
Yeah, it was a different landscape back then. He teamed up with his former colleague from Yahoo, Brian Acton, and together they founded WhatsApp.
A power duo.
They were. Their goal was to create a messaging platform that wasn't cluttered with ads and gimmicks, but just focused on letting people connect with their friends and family all over the world, seamlessly and securely.
A simple solution to a common problem.
Exactly. And it took off. WhatsApp gained traction quickly, and soon it became a global phenomenon. People loved its user-friendly interface, its focus on privacy, and how easy it was to send messages, photos, videos.
It was a game changer.
It was. WhatsApp's success was built on solid technology, a deep understanding of what users needed, and that focus on creating something that people actually enjoyed using. And in 2014, that success caught the attention of Facebook, who acquired WhatsApp for a mind-blowing $19 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. Jan's story shows that even when you start with absolutely nothing, with the right combination of talent, hard work, and that focus on solving a real problem, you can create something that changes the world.
You can achieve incredible things.
You can. It's about embracing limitations, using them as motivation to learn and grow, and never giving up on your vision, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you.
Now let's shift gears and talk about a founder whose journey is all about turning imagination into a global phenomenon. J.K. Rowling, the creative force behind the Harry Potter series.
Ah, J.K. Rowling. Her story is a testament to perseverance, the magic of storytelling, and the belief that even in the toughest times, we can create something extraordinary.
It's an inspiring story for sure.
It is. Before Harry Potter was a household name, Rowling was a single mother, struggling to make ends meet, living on welfare, facing the challenges of raising a child alone, and dealing with all the uncertainty of the future.
It wasn't an easy time for her.
It wasn't. Imagine this. She was writing the first Harry Potter book in cafes, scribbling away in notebooks while her daughter napped beside her. And she faced rejection after rejection from publishers who just didn't see the potential in a children's book about a boy wizard.
It's hard to imagine that now, given how popular the books became.
Right. But she never gave up. She believed in her story, in the magic she had created, and she was determined to share it with the world.
That belief is powerful.
It is. She kept writing, kept refining her craft, pouring her heart into the world of Harry Potter. And finally, after countless rejections, a small publishing house, Bloomsbury, took a chance on her manuscript.
And the rest is history?
It is. The Harry Potter books became a global sensation, captivating readers of all ages with that magical world, the relatable characters, and the timeless themes of friendship, courage, good versus evil.
Those books resonated with so many people.
They did. And Rowling's success wasn't just about the financial rewards, it was about the impact her stories had on millions of readers worldwide. She created a world that sparked imagination, fostered a love of reading, and provided comfort and escape for people of all ages.
It's amazing how one story can have such a profound impact.
It really is. And Rowling's story reminds us that sometimes those limitations we face, they can be the catalyst for creativity. When you're forced to rely on your own resourcefulness, your own imagination, you can tap into something truly special, something that might have otherwise stayed hidden.
Yeah, it's like that saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When you don't have a lot of resources, you have to get creative, think outside the box, and that can sometimes lead to the best ideas.
Exactly. And I think that's the common thread running through all these stories we've talked about today. These founders, they didn't let their lack of resources define them. They used it as motivation, as fuel, to create something amazing.
They turn those limitations into opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a lesson we can all learn from no matter where we are on our own entrepreneurial journeys. It's not about waiting for the perfect conditions or having someone hand you everything you need. It's about taking action, starting with what you have, and building from there.
It's about taking that first step, no matter how small it seems. So if you're listening to this right now and you're feeling overwhelmed by the challenges you're facing, remember these stories. Remember Howard Schultz, who turned his vision for a third place into this global coffee empire. Remember Oprah, who overcame incredible adversity to become a media powerhouse and a global icon. Remember Damon John, who tapped into hip-hop culture and built a fashion empire. Remember Jan Koum, who learned programming on his own and created an app that connects billions of people. And remember J.K. Rowling, who turned her struggles into fuel for her creativity and wrote a story that captured the imaginations of generations.
Each of these founders started with nothing, but they had something more valuable than money or connections. They had that grit, that vision, that unshakable belief in themselves and their ideas.
And that's what we want you to take away from today's deep dive. You don't need a fancy degree or a ton of money to succeed. You need passion, you need the drive to learn and grow, and you need the courage to take that first step.
So what's your nothing? What are those limitations that you're facing right now? And how can you turn them into strengths? What problem are you passionate about solving? What impact do you want to make on the world?
Don't let the fear of failure hold you back. Embrace those challenges, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward. Because every successful entrepreneur, every single one, has faced setbacks and failures along the way. It's how you learn and adapt and keep pushing that defines your success.
And remember, you're not alone. There's a whole community of entrepreneurs out there who have been in your shoes, who understand the challenges you're facing, and who are there to support you along the way.
So go out there, embrace the unknown, and build something incredible. We're rooting for you every step of the way.
And remember, even the most incredible journeys, they all start with a single step. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.